Have you ever woken up feeling more exhausted than when you went to bed? I did, for years. And I mean that years of waking up feeling drained, like I hadn't slept at all. My body felt heavy. My mind felt foggy. And I started to believe that this was just how life was going to be from now on. But then something shifted. I remember watching a documentary about Jane Fonda. She was 84 at the time, moving with such purpose, speaking with such clarity. She still worked out. She still advocated for causes. She still smiled from the heart. And then I read an interview with Pierre Richard, the legendary French actor, who, at 90, still finds joy in his work. He laughs, he dances, he lives fully. That's when I started asking myself, what are they doing differently? I used to think that energy just fades with age, that after 60, you just slow down. You accept the fatigue, the sluggishness, the forgetfulness. But I was wrong. What if that sense of being truly alive again after 60 isn't just a dream? What if it's closer than you think? The day I realized I wasn't just tired, it all started on a Tuesday morning. The sky was overcast, my joints ached, and I had to check the mail. Simple enough, right? The mailbox isn't even that far, maybe 50 steps. But I made it there, and on the way back, I had to stop halfway to catch my breath. I came inside, sat down on the edge of my bed, and felt like I just ran a marathon. Later that day, my friend Carol called. Same old tired voice, she said with a laugh, but there was worry in her tone. And here's the thing, she was right. I did sound tired. But here comes the twist. IT wasn't just tiredness. It was exhaustion. My tank wasn't low. IT was empty. And I hadn't even noticed. I'd become so used to running on fumes that I thought it was normal. That night, I stared at my ceiling for hours. I wasn't just tired. I was disconnected from myself. And I made a decision. I would no longer settle for just getting through the day. The little habit that changed everything. A few days later, Carol sent me a link to a video. Try this, she said. It's just 10 minutes. I clicked it out of politeness. A breathing routine? Really? I laughed. Breathing? I already do that. But something in me said, just try. So I laid a mat on the floor, pressed play, and followed along. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. Again and again. I did it the next day. And the next. And then, here comes a surprise. I felt clearer. Not like a lightning bolt, but like a window had been wiped clean. My thoughts felt organized. I could remember where I put my keys. I stopped zoning out mid-conversation. I started calling this my morning reset. And IT wasn't magic. It was just oxygen. Something I had been missing without realizing it. Breathing with intention brought me back to life. I rediscovered my body at 61. After that first week of breathing, I added something else. Just 5 minutes of stretching. Arms up, lean left, lean right. Touch my toes barely. I was stiff. My knees complained. But I kept at it. And then one morning, I stood up from the floor and I didn't groan. I stopped for a moment. Wait, what just happened? I hadn't realized how loud my body had been, always grunting, cracking, protesting. For years, I'd been treating stiffness as a part of aging. But now, I bent over to pick up my slippers, and I didn't feel like a rusty door hinge. I stood in the middle of my room, just breathing, and I started to tear up. This mini victory, this small, almost invisible change, felt like a homecoming. I was feeling my body again. Food became fuel, not comfort. I used to start my day with 2 pieces of toast and a cup of strong coffee. And honestly, sometimes a cookie or 2 made its way to the breakfast plate. But after I started breathing and stretching, something interesting happened. My body started asking for different things. One morning, I woke up really thirsty. Instead of coffee, I reached for water. I drank a full glass, and I felt better. I started doing that every morning. After a week, I skipped coffee entirely without thinking about it. Breakfast changed, too. Instead of toast, I added a handful of walnuts, a few blueberries, and a little Greek yogurt. The mini hook? My craving for sugar and junk started to fade on their own. I didn't fight myself. I just fed myself better. Energy doesn't come from eating less. It comes from nourishing differently. I cut out noise and found calm energy. One evening, I turned off the TV. I put my phone in another room. I sat on the couch. Just me. Silence. I could hear the fridge buzzing, the clock ticking, and my thoughts. My mind was loud. Worries, lists, memories, random songs. But I just sat. 5 minutes passed, then 10, and then a shift. My shoulders relaxed. My breath deepened. My heart rate slowed. And I felt something I hadn't in years. A peaceful kind of energy. No caffeine. No scrolling. Just me being present. Who knew that sitting still could be so restorative? Connection turned into vitality. Around that time, I reached out to an old friend from college, James. We hadn't talked in years, but I sent him a voice message just to say hi. He replied, and before long, we were sending each other short messages each morning, just 1 or 2 minutes. Sometimes a joke, sometimes a quote, sometimes just, "Have a good day." One day, he said, "Your voice sounds stronger lately." And that stopped me. Because he was right, I felt stronger. Connection, even something as simple as a morning voice note, was giving me energy. I joined a local book club. I didn't even read half the books, but I showed up for the laughter. And laughter, oh, it's a miracle medicine. Some days, we laugh until our sides hurt. No supplement or exercise has ever filled me with as much joy as shared laughter. What I learned from a simple walk at sunrise. One morning, I woke up around 5 a.m. The world was still asleep. Instead of crawling back into bed, I put on my shoes and went outside. The air was crisp. The birds were just starting to sing. I walked slowly down the street as the sky turned from blue-gray to golden orange. And suddenly, tears welled up in my eyes. Not from sadness, from joy. I hadn't felt that kind of peace, that kind of clarity, in decades. The mini hook? IT wasn't the walk that changed me. It was the choice. I chose to show up for myself. I chose to be alive. So, if you're over 60 and you wake up tired, I've been there. If you felt like you're running on empty, I know that feeling. But here's what I've learned. You're not stuck. You're not broken. And it's never too late to feel alive again. Start small. Breathe. Stretch. Drink water. Find silence. Call a friend. Take a walk before sunrise. Laugh until you tear up. You might be surprised. The path from tired to thriving might be just one small choice away. If this story resonated with you, please give this video a like. Subscribe for more stories like this. And share it with someone who needs to know it's never too late to feel alive again.